Hash the door in the wall. The autumn wind carried the scent of dying leaves through the narrow streets of London, where gas lamps flickered against the gathering dusk. Thomas walked slowly along the cobblestone path, his leather shoes clicking softly with each measured step. He had taken this route home from the office countless times, yet tonight something felt different. The familiar buildings seemed to lean closer together, their shadows stretching longer than usual. Thomas was a man of routine. At 42, he had built his life around predictable patterns: the same morning tea, the same newspaper, the same walk to work at the accounting firm where he had labored for nearly 2 decades. His colleagues respected him for his reliability, though none could claim to know him well. He lived alone in a modest flat, with only his books and his memories for company. As he turned the corner onto Pemberton Street, Thomas stopped abruptly. There, embedded in the weathered brick wall of an old townhouse, stood a door he had never noticed before. It was an extraordinary door, ancient oak panels bound with iron hinges, its surface carved with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and dance in the lamplight. A brass handle, green with age, gleamed softly as if recently polished. Thomas blinked hard, certain his tired eyes were playing tricks on him. He had passed this wall thousands of times. There had never been a door here, only solid brick, ivy, and the occasional scrawl of street children's chalk. Yet now, impossible as it seemed, the door stood before him as real as anything he had ever seen. He approached cautiously, his heart beating faster than it had in years. The door was beautiful, yes, but also unsettling. Something about its presence felt both foreign and familiar, like a half-remembered dream from childhood. As he drew closer, Thomas could hear faint sounds coming from beyond, not threatening sounds, but gentle ones. The distant laughter of children at play. The soft splash of water. Birds singing in what sounded like an endless summer afternoon. Thomas reached out tentatively, his fingers hovering just above the brass handle. The metal felt warm to the touch, as if heated by sunlight that didn't exist in the growing London twilight. For a moment, he hesitated. His rational mind screamed warnings about doors that appeared from nowhere, about the impossibility of what he was seeing. But deeper than his caution was a longing he couldn't name, a hunger for something beyond his orderly, predictable life. The handle turned easily under his hand. Light flooded out as the door swung open, not the harsh electric light of the modern world, but golden, honey-colored sunshine that seemed to carry warmth in its very essence. Thomas stepped through, and his breath caught in his throat. He found himself in a garden unlike any he had ever imagined. Rolling lawns stretched endlessly in every direction, dotted with flowers that bloomed in impossible colors, blues deeper than midnight, roses that glowed like captured sunlight, violets that seemed to hold the essence of twilight itself. A crystal stream wound through the garden, its water so clear it looked like liquid diamond. Children played on the distant lawns, their laughter carrying on a breeze that tasted of honey and fresh rain. They seemed ageless, timeless, their joy pure and untainted by the weight of years. Near the stream, a woman in flowing white robes sat reading beneath a willow tree whose branches swayed to music only they could hear. Thomas walked forward in wonder, his practical London clothes feeling heavy and constraining in this place of eternal spring. The grass beneath his feet was softer than any carpet, and with each step, he felt years of weariness lifting from his shoulders. The constant ache in his back from decades of hunching over ledgers disappeared. The lines of worry around his eyes seemed to smooth away. "You found your way back," said a gentle voice. Thomas turned to see an elderly man approaching, though elderly seemed the wrong word. The stranger's hair was white as fresh snow, and his face bore the marks of countless years, yet his eyes sparkled with the vitality of youth. He wore simple robes similar to the woman's, and when he smiled, Thomas felt something stir deep in his memory. "Back?" Thomas asked, his voice sounding strange in the crystal-clear air. The old man nodded knowingly. "You were here before, Thomas. Long ago, when the world still held magic for you. When every sunset was an adventure and every shadow might hide a fairy tale. Do you remember?" Suddenly, Thomas did remember. Fragments at first, the taste of summer afternoon air, the feeling of running barefoot through endless gardens, the absolute certainty that wonder existed around every corner. He had been 7 years old when he first found the door, on a day when his parents' arguing had driven him from their house in tears. He had spent what felt like months in the garden, though only hours had passed in the real world. The ageless inhabitants had welcomed him, taught him games that required no rules, shown him flowers that sang lullabies and streams that told stories. When he finally returned home, his parents had barely noticed his absence, too wrapped up in their own troubles to see the light that had kindled in their son's eyes. "I looked for the door again," Thomas whispered, the memories flooding back. "For years, I searched every wall, every corner. I thought I had imagined it all. The door appears when it's needed," the old man explained. "When the weight of the ordinary world becomes too heavy to bear alone. You stopped looking because you stopped believing. But the garden never forgot you." Thomas spent what felt like days in that eternal afternoon, rediscovering parts of himself he had thought lost forever. He played simple games with the ageless children, listened to stories told by the whispering trees, and felt his heart grow light in ways he had forgotten were possible. The pressures of his London life, the demanding clients, the endless columns of numbers, the loneliness of his empty flat, seemed to belong to someone else entirely. But as the timeless hours passed, Thomas began to understand a profound truth. The garden wasn't an escape from his life, it was a reminder of what his life could be. The wonder he found here didn't have to stay behind when he left. He could carry it with him, like a secret flame warming him from within. When he finally stood before the door again, preparing to return, the old man placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "The door will always be here when you need it," he said. "But remember, the magic you've rediscovered doesn't belong only to this place. Take it with you. Let it transform the ordinary into the extraordinary." Thomas stepped back through the door into the London evening, but he was not the same man who had entered. The street looked different now, not gray and lifeless, but full of subtle mysteries waiting to be noticed. The gas lamps flickered like captured stars, and even the autumn wind carried promises of adventures yet to come. As he walked home, Thomas smiled for the first time in years. Tomorrow, he decided, he would take a different route to work. Perhaps he would stop and really look at the Thames, or notice the way morning light played across the old buildings. Maybe he would even speak to his neighbors, learn their stories, share a moment of human connection. The door had given him back more than memories, it had returned to him the most precious gift of all, the ability to see magic in the everyday world. And somewhere behind him, though he didn't turn to look, Thomas knew the door was smiling too.